This is Talk is Sheep, the official podcast of the Wild Sheep Society BC, brought to you by Sitka Gear. Come along as we bring conversations that matter to you into the high alpine. This episode is sponsored by our conservation partner, Precision Optics. Thank you Sitka Gear and Precision Optics for investing in healthy wildlife and sustainable ecosystems. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Talk is Sheep. We've got an awesome episode today. We've been working on this for a while. I'm really excited to connect with the head shed from the Dallas Safari Club and the Dallas Safari Club Foundation. Honor and privilege to have on good friends and partners of ours, the Wild Sheep Society BC. We've got Dallas Safari Club Executive Director Russell Stacy, and we've got Director of Operations and Development Brian Fienhold on the podcast. Gentlemen, welcome. It's a pleasure to have you on today.
Thank you, Kyle.
Thank you, Kyle. I like the best, by the way.
Yeah, well, obviously a Proud Life member, Dallas Safari Club, and been to the show now for certainly not a long timer, but certainly the last few years, and sure have enjoyed being there with you guys and seeing the great work. And the convention is something you got to go and see. Absolutely staggering. You walk in that hall and it just blows my mind. But we're going to unpack all that stuff shortly. But I think maybe what we'll start off with, if you don't mind, and maybe we'll talk to you about this, Russell, is if you could just touch a little bit about, for our listeners that are not overly familiar with Dallas Safari Club and the Dallas Safari Club Foundation, a little bit about who Dallas Safari Club is and sort of the mission and sort of where you guys fit in today's conservation landscape.
Well, Dallas Safari Club and the foundation, their mission is advocacy, conservation, and education. So DSC does more of the advocacy work, and of course the foundation is doing more of the conservation and education work and grants. And we've been around 40 plus years. We do work throughout all 50 states and internationally. 40 countries, I think we're involved in to this date. So we do stuff globally, not just in North America, but all over the world.
That's awesome. Maybe, gentlemen, if you could just touch a little bit on that for me about, it's in the name, right? We see the elephant, we see the word safari, and you kind of like, and I'll be honest, sort of, a decade ago, if you'd asked me about Dallas Safari Club, I might have not known as much as I know today, but you guys do tons of work throughout the continental USA. You do work here up in Canada. Obviously, we worked with you, collaborated on projects as well here in BC. So maybe if you could talk a little bit about, it's certainly not just overseas. It's not an African initiative. It's much broader than that. So if you could touch on that for us a bit.
Well, Kyle, as you know, we've done... my past role was president of the foundation, so I'm very, very involved in that, doing grants and projects with Wild Sheep and Wild Sheep Society. So I think we've worked with you since I came on board on the foundation in 2021, doing grants. So we do a lot of work, conservation work, and globally, but we also we do quite a bit in North America, you included. So our business is to raise money and to vet and make good grants at people doing good work like y'all are doing, and so that's kind of the way I see our work, is to raise money and then turn around and find good partners like yourself and fund good projects.
Kyle, for me, safari oftentimes gets associated with going on a safari in Africa. Yeah. But for me, safari is an adventure. It's an adventure in the great outdoors. It's hunting and fishing and conservation all rolled into one. And so what I like about DSC and the DSC Foundation is really just that when we are working with different partners like your organization, Kyle, we want good partners that are doing good work, that are sharing the message of the hunter conservationist, and that it's making a difference on the ground. And wherever that greatest need is, that's where the organization tries to address. And that spans the globe. We've got a great deal of activity, as Russell's indicated, here in North America, but but also obviously around the world with whether it's different conservation, education, or advocacy initiatives. So that's what we do, and we've got some great partners like yourself to do that with.
Well, we sure appreciate it, and on behalf of the society and our membership, I have to say that we're incredibly grateful for the opportunity to work with Dallas Safari Club and Dallas Safari Club Foundation for this important work. And there's not a lot of stone sheep initiatives out there, and so to partner with you guys and our many partners that have done so much heavy lifting, it's fantastic. And it's interesting. I just got photos from our project lead here. It was about 3 weeks ago now, and the photos were about a week old, and it showed a bunch of lambs and ewes, and there was a Class 4 ram out on that freshly burned habitat that our dollars funded, and it's really inspiring to see that, and knowing that we're growing more sheep, and just really, really inspiring. So thank you for that, gentlemen. Really exciting.
We love hearing stories like that, and so it'd be if you want to showcase that in an upcoming Game Trails issue, just let me know and we can make that happen. But we absolutely love hearing stories like that, where DSC dollars raised can go to trusted, valued partners like yourself and get meaningful conservation work done on the ground. Thank you for doing that.
Well, and it's all about impact, right? You look at that investment, you look at the money that you invested in it, and you're seeing that ROI. And for me, that's the inspiring part, is like more sheep on the mountain, we got better habitat, and really, really exciting to see that truly is having an impact. Obviously, with the sort of the size of Dallas Safari Club and the foundation, you have tons of partnerships, you have tons of project requests. And Brian, you talked about sort of area of greatest needs. Can you guys talk a little bit? And Russell, I know that you leading the foundation, you're well placed to comment on this. Sort of, how do you prioritize that? Where do you sort of, what are those priorities, and how do you guys look at that to say, hey, they need us here, and then investing in those projects?
Well, as you mentioned, the foundation had $5.5 million in requests this year, 71
Ooh.
applications. So we have a vetting process. We have it's a small board the foundation does, but it's a very good board, and we have a ranking system where we go in and prioritize these, and we try to do a balance, and it doesn't always work out 50-50. It's never going to work out. We try to put as much in education as we can, but conservation seems to outweigh it most of the time because of the number of grants we get in for those. And so we have a strong vetting process, and we have a good group of guys that go in and take a look at all these grants and the board, and we send those in to, and once we have them prioritized, we go back in and start trying to put a dollar amount. Of course, we have an amount that we know we can grant from our chief financial officer and our treasurer, but and we just try to prioritize these and balance conservation, education, and then we look at on conservation. Maybe we're doing so many in Africa or Asia or New Zealand, because we do them in all of those. And then we love to see when you guys put in a request, because it's North America, and the majority of ours are from outside North America. So that we like to put money in all, but we do like to do a fair bit with our North America partners. So
yeah, very cool. One thing, I'm going to talk on a little bit more on and pick your guys' brains a bit more on the project side of things. But Russell, I'd like to learn a bit more about your role and what brought you, and you too, Brian. And I feel like I know it pretty well because we've been friends for years now. But that said, for our listeners, I want to just unpack a little bit about your guys' how you got involved, what brought you to DSC. Obviously, you're deeply rooted in the outdoor and hunting community, but what drew you to DSC, and talk a little bit about your role today. And Russell, I'd love to hear a bit your perspective of your involvement in the foundation, having been the president and led that for years now. But let's talk about what brought you to the Dallas Safari Club to start with.
Kyle, I had a long journey. So I've been involved and a life member of DSC for probably 20 years. And I started attending convention and just wanting to get more involved. I loved what DSC was about. I loved what they did. And so I started as a volunteer. I was one of the DSC 100, which is now more like the DSC 500, by the way. But back then it was probably closer to the 100. And so I was involved as a volunteer, and I worked, just kind of worked my way up as a volunteer and started co-chairing life member breakfast. And I remember the chair at the time was president-elect. And he saw my wife and I had done a lot of work in the last few years, and he said, would you consider being a board member? And I was like blown away by that opportunity. I thought that was, the greatest thing ever. My background, get back to that, I'm going to ramble a bit, but I'm a farmer, rancher from Louisiana, and spent a fair bit of time in South Texas growing up all my life. We've had a ranch in South Texas, and so even though I'm from Louisiana, I can call myself a Texan, and I really can call myself one now at this point. But I've been involved in the hunting space, and I've been involved in the farming, ranching, which the conservation world. Even I can tie that back to my farming, and so I accepted the role as a VP, and then I moved my way up on the board. 5 years, I think it was 5 years ago, joined the foundation board. I was serving both boards, dual DSC and DSC Foundation, and was elected president shortly after joining the board. And and convention chair. Forgot to mention that my wife and I have chaired the convention for the last 4 years. So I've wore a lot of hats with DSC, and then the opportunity of this role came up, and I was ready. I've farmed 38 years, and I was like, you know what? It's the perfect opportunity for me to do something that I want to do, something more that I've always enjoyed the farming, but I'm at a point in life where I really want to slow down on that and do more with DSC in this space, because I've enjoyed what I've done as a volunteer for all these years, and I truly love the organization.
Well, one thing that comes to mind is that my personal experience is that people that come through the rank and file of an organization, like a volunteer, are well positioned for a role like yours, Russell. And I think that you understand the organization. You have a unique perspective from the volunteer side of things, then the board side of things, and now in a leadership role in terms of the management side. So congratulations. I think it's fantastic. You brought up something that I've always really admired about Dallas Safari Club, and it's your DSC 100. And you referenced that, and that, of course, for our listeners, is your volunteer core. And anyone that's a member will know of the DSC 100 because you guys reference them a lot, and rightfully so. I think that's, the hardworking volunteers are the backbone of an organization like our organization, the Society, Dallas Safari Club, and other conservation organizations. So, I just want to commend the Dallas Safari Club for that. I think that, there's many things that you guys are recognized in your leadership role in the conservation space, but your volunteers, I've always admired that. And I always try and steal the best of every org. And I'm like, man, DSC sure gets it right with their volunteers. Very, very exciting, Russell. Brian, do you mind touching a little bit on sort of your path to DSC and your role? And then we'll touch a little bit more on the volunteer side of things too after that, if you don't mind.
Yeah, for sure. Thanks, Kyle. And I would just add one thing on the DSC 100, which originally Russell alluded to this earlier. It started out as a desire to maybe get 100 volunteers to volunteer to support the convention and other areas of need for the organization. Now it's a robust. It's well over. I call it the DSC 100 Army. It's well over 500. Continues to grow. And I would say for anybody listening to your podcast, Kyle, it's a great way to get involved and learn more about the organization. And the one thing that, I've had my own journey with DSC, and the one thing that I've noticed from the start is the very welcoming atmosphere. I think you've experienced it, Kyle, of DSC, the boards, the staff, the DSC 100 volunteers. There's a tremendous amount of hospitality, but there's also a tremendous welcoming spirit from everyone that's involved with DSC about getting them involved, answering any questions they might have, and offering them every opportunity to enjoy worldwide adventure and whatnot of that nature. So there's a great deal of hospitality here, and it's a very family-friendly, welcoming environment. So I'm happy to be part of it. My journey started. I've been a life member now. I think we've got 3 life members on this call. So how about that? But I've been a life member close to 20 years. I don't think I'm quite there yet. I have to look, I guess. But for years, I didn't think that DSC and was I didn't know if that was something that where I'd be welcomed, where it was really is it a place that I'd enjoy? Why not? So I lived in Houston at the time, and I finally made the trek to Dallas, and I walked in, and it's way beyond just strictly Africa. It's global in reach, global in impact, global in terms of exhibitors and outfitters and artists and gear manufacturers and firearm manufacturers. The list goes on and on and on of who is there, and it represents every corner of the earth. So I immediately realized, one, this is a lot different than I expected, and it is so far encompassing around hunting and adventure on a global scale, on a global nature. But I also, really just, again, felt that true hospitality and welcoming nature. And it was so easy to get involved. I was frustrated with myself for taking so long to go to this thing called the DSC convention, that once I finally did, I haven't missed it, and I'll never miss it. It's a wonderful show. It's a wonderful group of people, and so I got a little bit more involved over time, and did do a little bit of DSC 100 volunteering for a few of the conventions, and again had become a life member and all that. I had got to know several of the volunteers and board members, and got to know Corey Mason, our former CEO, and we became good friends and business associates. We really worked well together, and I was in a couple of different roles during that time and whatnot. But one thing led to another, and I get a call from Corey, and he's got an opportunity, and worked with Russell and several other board members and explored this, and one thing led to another, and I'm going on about entering the 5th year about here in another month, and it doesn't seem like that, but time does fly. But joined the organization and really haven't looked back. I really sincerely appreciate who we are and who we are and the things that we do and the impact that we make around the world. And so working with guys like Russell and several of our board members, our incredible staff, and then again the volunteer base, that's what makes DSC, and I'm glad to play a small part in our success. So definitely glad to be here.
Oh, what a great story. Gentlemen, we talked a little bit about the volunteers, and I really want to scratch a little bit more of the surface there. And, that's one thing that I've noticed over the last few years of coming to the show is you walk in and, I don't know if it's that Southwest hospitality or what it is, but you just, the people on the floor are friendly. Your volunteers are, helpful, and just such a good feeling when you walk into that show. So I think for, those that haven't been to the Dallas Safari Club convention, let's unpack that a little bit, what that looks like, what's involved with the show, what people can expect. I'd like to touch about the adventure part of it, that it's not just an African show. In fact, a lot less than I expected. I kind of expected that there'd be this huge contingency, and there really isn't. It's such a diverse show. So I'd love to unpack that a bit more and talk about kind of the convention side of things, and then let's talk about your past Summer Gala, because I know you guys had a fantastic show there as well. So look forward to unpacking all that with you.
So on the volunteer side of things, this office consists of 14 employees in total. And to put on a show of that magnitude, there's absolutely no way that could be done without our volunteer army. We have 20 plus chairs and co-chairs, actually 40. We have 20 chairs 20 plus chairs, 20 plus co-chairs that then have their volunteers under them that take different parts of the show, whether it's the move in, move out, whether it's the marshalling yard, whether it's one of the nighttime events or the life member breakfast. And they work, they meet and work closely with staff, and they help build those to make them what they are. So there's no way we could put on a show like that. And you mentioned the hospitality. No, I attend shows and have for years throughout, and maybe that's one thing that drew me to this. My state's always known for Southern hospitality, and I'm here, Texas hospitality. I think it's about the same thing, but there's no way we could offer that without those volunteers. And I hear that from exhibitors that attend the show. Like, nobody has that right, but you guys, y'all have that down pat. So they're not meeting an employee of somebody of a convention center or somebody that's just brought in as contract labor. They're actually meeting one of the DSC family, and that is something I think DSC has that maybe no other organization quite has that yet. So, Brian, what are your adds to that?
Yeah, I think when you look at almost approaching 50 years of existence and where the organization started and where it's at today, it's certainly evolved, but I don't think it's ever lost that charm and welcoming spirit that was there from day one. And as the years have gone by and the numbers have grown and the impact has grown, it's been refreshing to see that still at the very foundational level, at the very fabric of the organization is still around that welcoming atmosphere. And it makes it easy to get involved and get more involved. And it makes it easy to start a chapter in a particular area, or it makes it easy to sit on one of those committees, maybe lead one of those committees as a chair, committee chair or co-chair, maybe even do the whole convention chairing as Russell and his wife have done for years. And so it's a large time commitment, but it's a labor of love for most of our folks. And that spirit, I guess, is very evident, I think, to everybody that is whether you're an exhibitor partner or an attendee. I think that spirit is there and loud and clear as we host this wonderful event. And you touched, Kyle, on the Summer Expo as well and Foundation Gala, and that same atmosphere certainly was right there and very evident, and another great show.
Yeah, I want to just comment, I guess, for anyone that hasn't been to the convention, that it's phenomenal. It's such a great feeling, and it's a big show. There's no doubt about it. 1,300 exhibitors or something. Is that roughly?
Correct. 1,300 exhibits, and about 700 exhibits. 700 exhibitors and about 1,300 exhibits taking up the entire show floor there this year at the Georgia World Congress Center. And Kyle, if I could just touch base on that briefly. The Georgia World Congress Center. So we're in Atlanta in 26 and 27, and then we're really excited to be coming back to Texas after that, down in Houston for a while as we take the show on the road while we're getting a brand new K. Bailey Hutchison Convention Center in Dallas-Fort Worth. But while we're doing that, we've partnered with the GWCC there in Atlanta. It is attached to our host hotel, the Signia, and it's in a slightly different hall than last year. So for those that went last year and those planning to go this year, if you're at the Signia, you literally walk right from the Signia out through their little jet bridge there, if you will, and right into the exhibit hall where we'll be this year. So super convenient. Shuttles are going to drop folks right outside the front door there of that same hall. So much more convenient, I think, to get to and from, whether you're staying in the host hotel Signia or coming via one of our shuttles servicing our 12 different hotels that we partner with in the downtown Atlanta area.
Awesome. So you have the new venue. You guys were traditionally in the Dallas-Fort Worth area, and then with the big reno going on, you had to move over to Atlanta. And you guys are there do you have a 3-year commitment there? You got a couple more years left there. So this is kind of a...
26, 27. So.
2 years left.
So this is kind of a unique opportunity, right? It's not, you guys are there for the short term, so it's kind of an opportunity for people to come and check the area out, certainly people in the Atlanta area, they got to check it out. So there's tons of hunters in those communities. So it's such a cool venue. And it was fun for me. I'd been to Dallas previous years, and it was fun to check out Atlanta, see a new city. And then I think talking to Brian, I think then you've got the next 2 years in Atlanta, then you guys are over to Houston from there, and then back to eventually Dallas once your venue is all finished up.
That's exactly right. And we're, we want to reach out to all of our past attendees, our folks from the DFW Metroplex, but we're in an international space here, right? Many of the people that come either are already international hunters or are aspirationally inclined to want to do that at some point, whether that means traveling across the country here in the U.S., up maybe north to Canada, or abroad to any one of the other continents where hunting and outdoor adventures are very available and very attainable. But so different folks come along at different points in their lives where they're either wanting to learn more about this lifestyle or are very immersed in it. We want to reach out to the folks that have been part of making DSC and the convention incredible the last 40 plus years and say, join us. But we also have an incredible opportunity, as you mentioned, Kyle, to really showcase DSC and what we do to the whole Southeast region within the U.S. And then a couple years, we'll blink, time flies, we'll be back in the great state of Texas, which is home for DSC. Dallas is home, always will be for DSC, but we'll be in Houston for a couple years, celebrate that. And then when the new shiny penny is ready at the Kay Bailey, we will welcome that back with open arms and really celebrate that as well. So we look forward to every step of the way and bringing new people into DSC, but also celebrating the old friendships that we've had for decades.
Kyle, you mentioned earlier the venue at GWCC and lots, things to do around the area. There's a ton of things to do around there, and the aquarium is amazing. It's one of the largest ones in North America. That you have the Hall of Fame, Sports Hall of Fame, Coca-Cola Museum, which is really top-notch restaurants, and the Signia Hotel, which is our host hotel, is brand new, very nice. And as Brian mentioned, the hall now that we were able to move to, it was the original hall we wanted and it wasn't available. We'll have it for the next couple of years. It's just right out the side of the Signia. You walk right into it, and we're excited about that. And so Atlanta has a lot of cool things to do, a lot of things just right within walking distance of the convention center. And we'll be there 26, 27, and then 8 and 9 in Houston. And then it's everything right now we have moving forward. We'll have Dallas back Kay Bailey from 30 moving on. So we're really excited to get back to Texas too. And we've heard from a lot of our partners. They're excited. They want us back, and we're going to make the best. And I'm excited about the next 2 years in Atlanta.
Now I do have a complaint to file, though, Kyle. Russell always talks about the cool things to do in and around the Signia and the Georgia World Congress Center and all this fun stuff everybody can go. But the man works me so hard, I can't get away to do any of it. So I guess I'm just going to take a vacation sometime and go to all those museums and different attractions there. So because I don't seem to have any time to get away from the expo hall, and frankly I wouldn't want to, because I love the expo hall. You've been in it, Kyle, numerous times, and it's great to walk around and visit with different attendees that are there, maybe some for the first time, some for the 40th time, different exhibitors, some for the first time, some for the 40th time, but all there with a common interest, having a great time. So that is the highlight for me, certainly year in and year out. But if you've got a little spare time, Atlanta's got a lot to offer, and it's a cool place.
100%. And I've seen that too. Totally agree. But, for me, the highlight of Atlanta was the show and the people. And so for our listeners, Brian and Russell, if you could just touch a little bit on what they can expect. So there's a couple things that you guys do really well that I really, really like. So, you've got the banquets, the evening banquets, and you've obviously got the the show floor as well. So you've got all your exhibitors, and of course you can just go to the exhibitors, or you can go to the banquets, or you can do both. Of course, you can buy the full package. One thing that was really cool I noticed is that if somebody wanted to just get a taste of what it's like, you could buy one of the banquet nights, and I think that includes the entire show floor for the entire event. So it keeps your costs down, I guess, a little bit if budget's a concern for someone coming out to check it out. It's a good way to taste the event, see what it's like, get a feel for it. And I can say from my personal experience, it's so much fun. I'm not immersed in the DSC world. I'm sort of on the wild sheep side of things, and when I go to sheep events, I see a lot more people I know of, and so DSC for me, I was sort of an unknown, and I just walk in there. We sat down with some people last year in Atlanta, complete strangers. I knew people at the show, but didn't know anyone who we sat with, and man, we just had a phenomenal time. People there have been people there coming for years. There were people there. It was their first show. And man, we just it was a great feeling, great vibe, and I really, really enjoyed my time at the show. So, maybe for our listeners that haven't been, maybe talk a little bit about the structure. The nights, the banquets, and then the show floor sort of hours and timing. It's a little bit different than some of the other shows. So, just share that a bit, if you don't mind, gentlemen.
I'll kick it off, Russell, and you fill in the blanks when I miss anything here. So, but the show days this year, Kyle, are February 6th, 7th, 8th, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and that'll be your traditional hours. Again, showcasing 1,300 exhibits with approaching 700 exhibitors. We're really excited about that. That's where old friends and new friends. You weren't strangers too long, I bet, with those people you sat with last year. You didn't know them at first, but it didn't take long, and now you probably keep in touch with them. But so that's the show hours, the show days for the exhibit hall. But the fun really kicks off on Thursday night. We've got our Thursday night. It's the welcome back banquet and auction. It's conservation night for the organization. We'll have a great evening of dinner and some great speakers, some awards. And then, not to be missed is it's our first auction of the show for the 4 days, from the 5th through the 8th. Again, with the show floor opening on the 6th. But we'll have an incredible auction that night, banquet, a really good time. Not to be missed on Friday is our let's see, I got to get this right, Russell. It's Friday's our life member appreciation breakfast. Is that right?
You're correct.
Yeah, we got that right. We're trainable. That's right. And so we switched things up a little bit this year, so I have to kind of make sure I get you the right information here, Kyle. But Life Member Appreciation Breakfast, which is really an opportunity for us to showcase everyone's welcome. You don't have to be a life member, but if you'd like to explore that, you'll certainly have opportunities to do so. But we want to recognize and celebrate our life members, who are some of our most staunch supporters. That'll be on Friday. That kicks the day off early with its own, of course, breakfast and then auction that is exclusive to that event. And so we're always really excited to be a part of that. And then that evening, our education night, banquet, auction, some great speakers, some really incredible awards. And then Saturday's really a fun day. The ladies have their ladies luncheon, and they always do it up, and they always have a great time and raise a lot of important funds for DSC mission work. But that is always from what I hear, they've never let me crash the party. They seem to have all these mimosas and all that stuff flowing. It sounds like a pretty good time, but Russell and I can never get access. So I guess it's just the ladies, but they have a blast. And that'll be on Saturday. Then again, not to be missed. Then Saturday night, our advocacy night, an incredible auction, great dinner, a nice way to close out the evening events. And then Sunday, again, we'll be back in the convention center to wrap things up, have final conversations with old friends and new friends, put the finishing touches on your next adventure, and we'll put a wrap on it. But it's a great, really 4 days with the show floor open, 3 of those. That all kicks off on Thursday, February 5th, with the banquet and auction, and just rolls through the weekend. You blink and it's over, and you miss it. And you look forward to the next one. What'd I miss, Russell?
Nah, you pretty much covered it. So,
there you go.
And life member breakfast is one of my, I guess, one of my favorite events. That's pretty much one of the ones I got involved with that started me on this journey I'm on now. So, and as Brian mentioned, it's not just life members; it's life member appreciation. It's for all members. It's for all people, all to come. We're hoping we can convert some that aren't life members into life members. So.
Well, it's a great way to do it for sure, right? Like, there's no better way to show them some of the benefits of being a life member than having them come in and enjoy it for sure. So, yeah, I think that's a great idea. And I didn't make it last year, life member. I had some conflict. I can't remember the details, but I got to sit at Larry Wiseland's table. So I was sitting next to the legend himself. And I'm like, holy dynamite, how lucky did I get to be here? I felt like I was at a VIP table, and I wasn't, but it was pretty cool to sit with Larry and hear his stories. And but really enjoyed the breakfast itself. So, really looking forward to Atlanta this year, looking forward to the show. Anything else we want to touch on there? I want to talk about the gala as well, but because that was another huge success for Dallas Safari Club this past year. But is there anything else we need to touch on the show itself? Obviously, there's I know hotels are always a threat, and there are still tickets available. So if people want to come and check it out, they can get tickets on the website, right?
Yeah, just biggame.org gets you there, and Russell, we're filling up on hotels, and I know that the banquets are starting to sell tickets and tables and everything. We're a ways out yet, but it's never too early to start booking those to get where you want to stay and what events you want to go to, right, Russell?
Yeah, I think Brian, as Brian's mentioned, the Signia is almost sold out, which is, I call the host hotel, because most of all the activities will take place, or the banquets will take place in that hotel. So if there's a few rooms left, but not a lot there, and then we have several hotels in the nearby vicinity that are also very nice properties, and just a small walk. But so no, I think that's that pretty much covered everything on the Atlanta. Just get your tickets, get registered now, and hope to see you the 5th through the 8th. That's when all the fun begins. It's like a giant, I call it a big family reunion. So it's just good to go see like-minded people and have conversations, as you mentioned, Kyle, the one where you just sat down and strangers, and next thing you know, you're probably in contact with them from moving forward. Probably have their numbers shared. That's the way that it's a small world, but it's a great one to be in. So.
And who knows when you're going to sit down and be next to Larry Weishun. So that's always fun.
But love Larry.
That family, that's a fact, and that family grows for the family reunion. It grows every year. It's a come one, come all, and have a great time type atmosphere. It is a very family friendly atmosphere. Russell's entire family hunts. In fact, I think his wife and daughter hunt more than he hunts, frankly, and I think he loves that. So, but it's a wonderful environment to bring the entire family and have a great time, and really have just blow your mind on the show itself. And so, if you've been to it in the past, adventure over to Atlanta, enjoy yourself, and help spread the word to everybody there that's new, and share with them your DSC experience.
Well, and I think it's it's an incredible opportunity for everyone. Like, you literally you're gonna find something there for everybody. There's sort of just such a wide range, international hunts, hunts in the lower 48. There was a ton of BC outfitters there, a lot of friends of mine that were there. So it was really cool walking around. There were a lot of familiar faces for me, which was really, really neat. But then there's just, anything you could dream of. You want to go hunting in Africa, you want to go hunting in Europe, you want to go hunting in the lower 48. There's just so much opportunity. And then there was diversity too. Maybe you're not even interested in hunting. There's some other stuff going on there too. There's just a little bit of everything for everybody. If you care about the outdoors and you've thought about conservation, well, you got to check the show out, because it certainly does a great job. So hats off to you guys, and it's a lot of fun for everybody. So yeah, hopefully we'll see some friendly or familiar faces there, and yeah, come and check it out in February. So lots of fun. So,
we look forward to seeing you there, Kyle.
Me too. Let's talk a little bit about this gala. It was such a successful event this year. I know you guys had exhibitors there. I think, is this the first year you guys have done the exhibitors at the gala? Because you mentioned the numbers of exhibitors at that event, and I was blown away. It was just a staggering number. So let's talk about your summer event that you guys just held in Dallas there.
Russell, I know that's near and dear to your heart, so give them all the skinny.
So we paired when we made the move to Atlanta, we knew that a lot of our locals couldn't make the travel or wouldn't, and we had a new market out there where we were reaching, and we knew that we needed to have a presence in Texas while they're working on the Kay Bailey. So Summer Show evolved, and we had started a gala 5 years. This is our 5th year on the gala, I think. Yeah, 5th year. And we decided to pair the gala, the foundation gala, with the DSC Summer Show, and that was a huge success. We our gala the last 4 years prior to this year, 4 years prior, we were averaging 350 people at our event and raising significant funds. And this year that number went to 750 attendees, and it was a great event. Raised a lot of money for the foundation, and that was kind of a way to celebrate a show of much success there. That at the Gaylord property, which is a phenomenal facility, I'll say, and we'll be there for 5 years. So we'll be back there again this year in July 23rd to 25th. Is that right, Brian?
July 23rd to 25th. Yeah. That's correct. Yeah.
And looking forward to that. And again, the gala will be the foundation event will be paired with the summer show again this year. But it was a fun show, a successful show. Our volunteers showed up, and we had some challenges. Every time you go to a new venue, you have things that it's a little different, and so they did a great job of getting our exhibitors in and out, and putting on all the nighttime events, and it was a huge success.
Kyle, I would say there were two drivers to the DSC Summer Expo and Foundation Gala. This inaugural year, there's always an inaugural event for an event, right? And this was it. And it was an incredible event. We had almost 300 exhibitors, I think I was just shy of 500 exhibits. So by its own right, a very large show. And it allowed, so it came at a good time given the period of that we're in right now, where we've got to take the show on the road in January, February with the convention. It was a great time to add this summer expo and foundation gala and pair the two together. It was also really, frankly, I think a great time to grow DSC and to inject a new major event into our offering, into how we showcase the organization and our membership and our volunteers and our exhibitor partners. And so really the two made a lot of sense to do this. And like Russell said, we'll be at the Gaylord Texan there in Grapevine, Texas, right in the Metroplex, DFW Metroplex, actually very close to DFW Airport. We'll be there for the next 4 years. So, and then I think as far as most people that I talk to are concerned, this Summer Expo and Foundation Gala is here to stay. We saw a giant bump, as Russell alluded to, in the gala, which had been setting records every year. Well, this year it took on a whole new level, and it provided a great capper to a wonderful show. And so exhibitors were happy, attendees were happy. When we can check those two boxes, DSC is pretty happy.
That's awesome. That was my next question is, do you envision when you guys get back to the Kay Bailey for the winter show, is the summer show going to continue? And I guess that's a long ways out and probably cart before the horse in many ways. So I won't put you on the spot to whether you guys are doing that or not, but it'll be fun to see how it evolves. But it's just so neat to see how much it's grown. And can you talk a little bit about how an event like the Summer Gala now paired with the show itself, the summer show, how it's strengthened the relationship with donors and outfitters, exhibitors, and kind of how it's supported the bottom line, I guess, of DSC and the DSC Foundation.
Yeah, for me, Kyle, I would say it brought out the best of DSC, right? We had some very long-term exhibitor partners that it's an inaugural show, never done it before. How's this going to go? We had several of our longest standing and several new exhibitors or young, exhibitors that haven't been with DSC as long that said, you know what, we're in. And our staunch base of supporters in the DFW Metroplex, but well beyond that, we had attendees from all over the country and even several international attendees to the show. They said the same thing. We're going to go, and the reviews and the positive feedback from both exhibitors and attendees, it was a very nice size. It again, by its own standards, a large show, but it had a feeling of it just had a feeling. I don't know what the exact word is, but it was definitely the right size at the right time for the right event, if you will. Folks were very comfortable in that venue, in that environment. They enjoyed the Gaylord itself. And important for you, Kyle, when you book your room at the Gaylord next year, every room includes a day pass or a pass to the water park. So so you can bring your trunk, spend one of your days, maybe only half a day. Okay, that's what we'll allow for you, because you got to be on the show floor the rest of the time and at the events. But you get a little bit of time. You can go enjoy the water park, go down the slide. But it's really a great place to take the family. It again builds off of our focus on being super family friendly, and what better place than a Gaylord Resort, which has so much to offer. And you add to that almost 300 of the finest exhibitor partners in the world, and a host of really staunch supporters of DSC and DSC Foundation. How can it not be fun?
And to Brian's point, the size of the show, I think I heard from so many exhibitors, they just love the intimate, the personal, the smaller show. They don't, they said it was something special about that show that reminded them of the old days when DSC first started. So many of them enjoyed that, like that they're signing back up. Most of all the exhibitors that exhibited with us last year are renewing, and we're going to have a big challenge this year, because I think the challenge is going to be, we're going to have a lot more people wanting in that show. They just kind of sat back and said, we want to see what it's about, and now we're actually seeing that. So, but that's a good problem to have. But we had some really good partners in that show last year, and most of those will be back. And they said, please don't grow that show, don't blow that show up. It was perfect the way it was.
And Kyle, Russell touched on booths and booth availability. I would just say real quickly on both the convention and the summer show. So the convention is virtually sold out right now. We've got close to 700. We've mentioned it, 700 exhibitors and approaching 1,300 booth exhibits. It is almost sold out. So there's very few spots left. If you're an exhibitor partner interested in getting in, I would say act swiftly, just because that's going to sell out in the very near term here. The summer show is open as well for folks that attended the first time to renew their booths and renew their exhibits, and that is happening very quickly as well. And it is going to be opening up. I believe it already has opened up to folks that maybe weren't in the first show, but again, the demand is going to far exceed the capacity. So if you're an exhibitor partner listening in and you want in either of the shows, I would act swiftly in that regard.
Well said. It's interesting. It's with these, Dallas Safari Club, with what you guys have built, you're kind of a victim of your own success. You grow this behemoth, and it's, everything's a growth mindset. You want to do more for the resource. You want to look after the conservation, develop your mission, like your three pillars. Obviously, that's so important. But to do that, it's a growth mentality, and then all of a sudden you're this big behemoth, and you got these big shows. So it's, you guys have really found a nice spot where you got the best of both worlds. You've got a smaller, more intimate show in the gala and the summer show, and then you've got your bigger show. So it's kind of a little of both. You can kind of tailor what you need there. So, but it's one of the challenges we face, right? You do an amazing job for growing and looking after your mission and your three pillars, but it's at the expense of sort of, I guess, the intimacy of, DSC today compared to what it was 40, 50 years ago. Those are two different animals.
It's interesting that when you build something like we build in the convention, that when you introduce a summer show with 500 exhibits, that you call that the small show. And it's hardly that by most standards, but relative to the Jan-Feb convention that DSC puts on for almost 50 years now, the summer show is certainly not as big as that, but gosh darn, it's pretty substantial, and it's big by most standards, and it's got the same feel, and people really enjoy both of them. But yeah, it's nice to have something a bit more intimate for sure.
Yeah. Gentlemen, let's switch it up a little bit. We talked about the two shows and the party, the great time getting together. Let's talk about the business end and the conservation work. So DSC has grown and is a globally recognized voice for conservation, hunting, advocacy, education. Talk a little bit about sort of the evolution that you've witnessed. I know, Russell, you've been in the trenches as a volunteer for decades, and Brian, you've been on, you said 5 years now on the payroll. So let's just talk a little bit about your guys' view on the evolution of the organization since you guys have been involved, please.
Brian, do you want to start on this?
Yeah, sure. From an international standpoint, Kyle, we're members of IUCN. We're very engaged at all the major international policymaking and gatherings of minds, if you will. IUCN, CITES. We're very active with CIC, and we want to continue those relationships. And we've built some really good partners across all the international organizations, and we want to continue to foster that and really foster sound science-based wildlife management and sustainable use practices. That's the core, that's the driver, that's what's going to keep wildlife in wild places for generations to come. And so we want to be partners in those with those that share that same mindset, and we want to continue to be as supportive of those organizations as we can. On a federal level, a national level, we've got a great presence in Washington, D.C. Erica Turgeson is our Director of Government Affairs. She's more daring and gutsy than all three of us because she lives full time right there just outside the swamp, and so she does an incredible job for us and really paves the way for sound policy and legislative activities there on behalf of DSC, working with different members of both the House, the Senate, working with the Department of Interior, and really any aspect of the federal government that we need to interact with when it comes to, again, sound conservation policy, science-based wildlife management, sustainable use practices. She's at the core of that at the federal level in Washington, and we frankly couldn't do it without her there.
We're very fortunate to have Erica on board on our team. I was in D.C. with her last 2 weeks ago and spent some time with her. She set meetings up, and she's always over-delivered. She's phenomenal. We're just fortunate to have her looking out for us on a federal level. So.
And Kyle, we'll have Russell, and Russell was on a separate trip there, but in addition to kind of those one-off experiences where some really good meetings took place with Russell and his wife and Erica. Actually, I think the whole family was there.
Yeah,
now that I'm thinking about it. So yeah, your daughter as well. So, but they had a great time and met with had some really meaningful meetings. It keeps the DSC presence in front of members that are important for us to interact with, to share our story, share our issues, and our preferred course of action and solutions to those. And so, but we, in addition to that, we do annually have at least one what I would call a fly-in event where several members of our board, sometimes members of our chapters and volunteers, always a few members of staff will fly in and meet with, join with Erica, and then she'll have 2 to 3 days of very impactful meetings with members of both the House and the Senate, key members of Interior and oftentimes Ag, and anyone else we need to interact with while we're there to really get the messaging out on the issues of the day that are priorities for DSC. And that really goes into the hands of the decision makers, and Erica paves the way for us to get that time to meet and discuss those issues.
I was out in Calgary for the AWCP, or American Wildlife Conservation Partners meeting a couple months ago, and Erica was there. I had the opportunity to meet her, and super knowledgeable. It was so fun to listen to that group of AWCP influencers, that room, the ones that really moved the needle over in Washington, and it was a pretty powerful room to see the names and the people involved, and very interesting. Obviously, we had this public lands thing going on with Senator Lee, and I know DSC and Erica and the many people in our space were very vocal on that, and I feel like turned the ship on that, which could have been a very ugly scenario. Can you talk to some of the key priorities or concerns that DSC, and I know this isn't your guys' wheelhouse, but is there anything you guys can speak of on a sort of high level, some of the major issues that are a concern at home here in the U.S., but maybe also you talked about IUCN and CIC on that international front too, Brian. Any issues, key issues that you guys are watching right now that are of concern?
And again, and Erica on the federal level, and then our partners internationally, our key alliances in any issues of the day. Broadly, I would say, DSC is always fighting is making the anti-poaching, fighting the poachers, right? So we have anti-poaching efforts around the world, and it's not a U.S. or an African issue. It is a global issue. Poaching is, and so it's a priority for us. Human wildlife conflict management. That's important. We constantly are exploring ways to mitigate that. So it's a wide range. Habitat improvement, educational efforts, all feed into what we advocate for, and where we put our money and our effort towards improving and making sure that we can sustain the hunting heritage in a over the long haul, so future generations can enjoy the lifestyle we have. But really being smart about the resources we have. They're limited resources. You can only do so much. Partnering with other NGOs, partnering with key policy-making bodies and legislative bodies at the federal and international level, and we've got the network in place to do just that. And then it's a never-ending process, a never-ending battle to ensure the future of hunting and conservation, and really to educate folks that the two are very, very much intertwined with each other. That you don't have one without the other. In fact, a hunter conservationist, I would argue, is pretty redundant, because every hunter, by definition, should have a strong conservation hat on, and so we just try to advocate for our membership, advocate for that hunting heritage and that hunting lifestyle that we cherish.
Yeah, great stuff, and such important work. And I know in BC here we've been very active on that front on our One Campfire initiative, and we feel in many ways we're at the coalface. I used to say we're at the coalface, but I think we're all at the coalface now. But fighting the anti-hunting initiatives, and the grizzly bear ban here in British Columbia, and just the list goes on and on and on. But I feel like we're all in this together, and we all got to do our part. So I'm grateful that we have DSC and DSC Foundation doing the heavy lifting on this too, that we're all pushing that same direction. And, one thing I'm always advocating for is the more we can collaborate, the more we can get on the same page, the more we can do together. This is a fight that is going to affect us. And if we can't hunt, boy, our conservation efforts are going to be really challenging, because, we got a lot of people in the room that care deeply about hunting, and the way they do that is to give back conservation is through hunting. So if we lose that, boy, it's going to be an interesting battle, one that I think we got to keep just front of mind at all the time. So I appreciate the efforts that DSC is doing on that front. Okay, so when we look ahead, anything on the horizon? Obviously, we've talked about the venue changes. We've talked about the different events going on, and anything else on the horizon? I see you guys got a ton of really cool stuff. The one thing I love about DSC is you guys always have something going on. There's always events going on. I see there's something in a couple weeks. It's you got a speaker series event coming up. So there's always something for people to get involved and lots of hands-on opportunity. I know that, maybe for somebody that's outside the Texas area, maybe it's a bit more challenging. But boy, if you're local to Dallas, there's so many opportunities to get involved on a local level, and just really cool what you guys are doing there. But anything on the horizon coming up for DSC that our listeners need to know about?
Yeah, I mean, Kyle, I would say it's actually getting a lot easier to stay involved across the country. In just the last 2 years, Russell, we've doubled our chapters from, and we're now in over 20 states, and we've literally doubled that number, and that's going to continue to grow. I would say in 2 or 3 years we'll have probably substantially grown that number even greater. And so we've got a team working on developing chapters, in different areas in different parts of the country. So if you check out our upcoming events, there's certainly going to be some in the Dallas-Fort Worth area, and we're really excited about the Wilson and Susan Stout speaking on their Ethiopian hunting adventures from over the years, which is near and dear to their heart. Good friends of both the Stacy's as well as myself, and life members of DSC, but that'll be great for those that can attend that here in Dallas. But frankly, you don't have to look far, and probably in many cases not too far away from where you call home, to find pockets of enthusiastic DSC members that have grouped together to start a chapter, and they'll have trophy room dinners and visits. They'll have their annual banquet and auction. Some of them have a 2 or 3 day event where they'll actually have 50, 60, 70, 80 exhibitors at that. It's their own mini convention, and they're raising important funds for not only their local community but for DSC Foundation. And so you don't have to look too far to find something that's probably pretty close to home, where you can stay involved in DSC. Of course, mark your calendars for the convention in this coming February and the summer show in July. But all that information is at biggame.org, and I would encourage folks to visit the site and call the office if you have questions or if you want to get more involved somewhere.
I appreciate that,
really
Brian.
Looking forward to our event in a couple of weeks with Wilson and his wife. That's going to be a fun evening. We have socials periodically every month. There's something going on. If you go to the website, there's a calendar of events. We're having a big boar shoot or a small boar shoot or a sporting play event or just a social where some of our volunteers and members just want to get out for the weekend, and we have different speakers throughout, depending on, we do 4 or 5 of those a year, Brian?
Yeah, super take.
Mm-hmm. And it's all membership engagement, volunteer engagement. And that's how we keep that Army going. They enjoy those, and that's part of being in the DSC family. So.
It's very cool, Russell. Yeah.
If you're not in the immediate DFW area, and I used to not be, and I would miss going to those, but many times. But occasionally I'd sneak in for 1 or 2. But again, lean on the growing chapter system, and find something that's not too far away. Most of those chapters have events throughout the year, not just the one night banquet and auction, but many of them will have quarterly events, monthly events, in a very similar type situation to what Russell was just talking about. So very easy organization to get involved in, a growing organization, an organization that's probably not too far from your backyard, that's easy to become part of.
And if you haven't, if you get into Atlanta Wednesday, which most people will arrive Wednesday, our Atlanta chapter is having an event that evening there at the hotel, so at the Signia. So more to come on that as far as registration, but that'll be a fun evening event with our local chapter. They pair it with our show they did last year. It was successful, fun, And as Brian mentioned earlier, our chapters have doubled over the last, I think, 3 years. And so we have chapters in many states now, and some of them do have their own mini conventions, I'd say. So it's fun. I try to travel to as many of those as I can and have over the last several years. I can't make them all, unfortunately, but the ones I don't make, most of them are online, and I go online and support and watch their evening events. Most of them are streaming through the online hunting site. So,
yeah.
Fantastic. Well, gentlemen, I've taken a bunch of your time here, and we got to do this again. This is so much fun. But before I let you go, any parting words, anything we missed, anything I haven't touched on that you guys want to highlight to our listeners?
Thank you, Kyle, for having us today, being a good partner to DSC and DSC Foundation. And I just looking forward to our Atlanta show, February the 6th through the 8th. I hope I see everybody. We can get signed up, registered, and come. I'm looking forward to a great event this year, and it's a little later, so hopefully I don't see us having a snow and ice storm this year, but I'm looking forward to the event and seeing all the family, DSC family, and all the people in our hunting world. It's like I said, it's just one big family reunion, and it's so good to have that many like minds in one room. And there's always you meet new people, and our network grows. So I'm looking forward.
Yeah, Kyle, I would just first say thank you again. I always enjoy our time, whether it's a periodic phone call to catch up or sitting on your podcast, but appreciate what you and your group does. Appreciate your partnership with DSC and the foundation. As far as upcoming events, I would say, again, the convention is just around the corner. That'll kick off on our Thursday, with our chapter event on Wednesday night, our conservation night on Thursday, and then the show doors open Friday, Saturday, Sunday. So if you're an exhibitor partner, help us promote it. And if you're an attendee, bring some friends. But I would just say, take advantage of the nature, the welcoming nature of DSC. If you've been involved, stay involved. Bring some new friends. Introduce other people to what you love about DSC. But if you're new to DSC, if you've never been, don't wait forever to do it. I waited too long, and I was so glad that when I finally jumped in and had just an incredible time, and it's been so much fun for me to develop new friendships, and I make new friends every year and see old friends. It is a great family-friendly, welcoming environment, and I would say don't be bashful. Don't put it off. No matter what stage of your hunting career you're in, if you're on the very front end and you just want to learn, it's a great venue for that. If you're the most experienced international hunter, also a great venue for that. So come in to, join us in Atlanta, have a great time. I think you'll enjoy it.
I appreciate that, Brian. And anyone that's interested in a membership, tickets, anything, biggame.org, I think, correct?
Biggame.org, yes, sir.
Awesome. That's an easy one to remember. So
yeah.
Awesome. Russell, Brian, gentlemen, thank you so much. Again, from the Society, our perspective, you guys are valued partners here in British Columbia doing the heavy lifting. Thank you for your partnership, your support, your collaboration. We're really grateful, and we're real excited about future opportunities. I envision that we'll be doing more great things together to look after those things that really matter to us, hunting, conservation, and wildlife. So thank you, gentlemen. Appreciate you.
Thank you, Kyle, for including us.